Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag-and-drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Les enfants qui mentent, ils n'auront pas paradis.
Oui.
Can you name that? Can you name that?
No. I know you ended in paradise.
Oh my goodness. When I awake in my boudoir. Anything?
No. Are you singing Prince?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know Prince nearly as well as you know Prince.
I celebrate the entire catalog. I think we're pretty much aware of that. Listen, here's the thing. You just did #Lubu, Luxembourg Film Festival, and you spent some time in Paris, completely alienating your children forever by not taking them with you. That's awesome. Parenting win. And then that makes me think of the Prince album and film. The album Under the Cherry Moon, that was known as Parade, and on that album is the song "Do You Lie." It's very catchy. Opens with a small child speaking small child French. The children who lie don't go to paradise. And that brings us back to your children who clearly have lied. They don't go to Euro Disney.
That's right. Disneyland Paris. They do not get to go there.
Yes. All of those things were in my mind this whole time. And I've been singing Do You Lie for like a week and a half.
That's funny. Mm-hmm. You know what I've been singing in my head?
Tell me.
The whole time I was wandering through Paris. There were two songs, and then all the music from Amélie kept like out of my head. And the two songs were Be Our Guest.
Oh.
And The Bells of Notre Dame. So clearly, it was like my Disney influence.
Do you know what? The Bells of Notre Dame, I actually heard that one ringing through my cranium a few times. Some of those pictures you posted at Notre Dame. You did. You and your wife are exceptional on-location selfie takers.
We've been taking selfies long before selfies were popular.
You really have.
Since we met, we've been doing selfies. So it's... Yeah, we've kind of got it down. I thought that I could do a nice little photo montage, like just a video of them, because we really don't ever change position.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what's my observation. Your faces don't change. Nothing changes about you. In fact, for many of these, because it was such a short trip, I imagine, for many of these, you're wearing the same thing in all these locations, and literally the backgrounds just morph from one fancy Parisian location to another. Look, it's Notre Dame, kids. Look, now we're on a ride. It was awesome.
Yeah. Now we're at the Mona Lisa.
Look, Belle is feeding us. Wait, what? That was great. It was a good trip.
It was great. It was a whirlwind. The Luxembourg City Film Festival. They treat you right. It was a great festival to play at. They really took care of us. A lot of fun. It was great seeing the Joe Show with a foreign audience to get a kind of a read on their thoughts of the movie. And then we got to spend a couple days in Paris and just we really had quite a time. It was a whirlwind, though. I tell you, living in a city that's pretty much flat, you really take for granted when you go to a place that is has actual elevation changes.
Yeah.
Luxembourg was, ups and downs all over. I mean, just to get from our hotel to the downtown area is like this huge valley that you had to go through. And it was a great walk, but it certainly tired us out. And then, you spend a day at Disneyland Paris, and then you go to Paris, and let's see, Notre Dame is 400 steps up to the top and then back down. And then to the base of the Eiffel Tower, from the base to the second floor, is like 700 steps. And so we did all these steps, not counting like the metro and everywhere else, all the other steps we were on. It's like our dogs were tired by the end of that trip.
Okay, so you went. I know you went for a lot of ancillary reasons, but the primary reason you went all the way to Paris was just one singular mission on behalf of the show. Did you achieve your goals?
I certainly did. And I was very, very excited, yes. On the second floor in the store of the Eiffel Tower, I did in fact purchase, and I'm gonna take it out of the bag right now and hold it while I talk to you about it.
I hear it. I can hear it.
That's right. I actually bought a little Eiffel Tower statue. It's not quite gold, but yes, I did buy one. Just for this is going to be part of the 2015 Pony Prize drawing. It is, in honor of the Lavender Hill Mob.
Straight from the real Eiffel Tower. I can't wait. Would you could you take a selfie picture of yourself with it, just like in place of your wife?
That's right.
You got to make sure you do that and post it on Twitter. That'll be a good thing to do. All right.
I will do that. Yes, indeed.
Okay. Listen, I feel like I have some other things to talk to you about. I just need to do a quick review of some films that I've seen this week.
Okay.
Can I do that? Because you've probably seen some films. Have you seen
I've
any
seen
films?
Some films.
All right.
Yes.
First of all, I want to report that I finally saw RoboCop, the
remake.
The remake,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, vomit explosively. It's an action film. There were some things I liked about it. I like the choice they made about making him much more sentient. Like he was definitely a dude in the case. And oh my God, the entrance of RoboCop, and I mean, you see him in the suit, and then they take him apart, and that was horrifyingly cool. There's a sequence where they say, here, we're going to show you what happened to you, and they start pulling off his limbs and stuff to show him what's left of his body, and I don't want to spoil it. In fact, I really do. Since we're a show about spoiling stuff, all that's left are his lungs and his spinal cord and his head. And so his lungs are in a glass case, and his heart is beating kind of behind it, but everything else comes apart, and it's a really cool effect. So that was a real highlight of the movie. So then I put it away. I don't need to see it again. The next one I saw was Predestination.
Oh, yes. I need to watch that one. You've been talking about that one for weeks now.
I have, and it's totally worth it. I just feel like we haven't talked about it since we last talked about it. Now I need you to talk about it because it was great. It was super great. And I then immediately went and bought the book. It's actually a short stories, All You Zombies, part of a collection of Robert Heinlein collection. And the book, it was a great adaptation. They actually did a really, really good job of taking this Heinlein short story and turning it into a really interesting and well-executed time travel flick. You got to see it so that we can talk about it. That's that. It was really fun. Nice. And then I saw one after the other. Just now that the Oscars are over, I just wanted to just see them all again. And so 2 in one night, 1 the next. Birdman, Whiplash, Theory of Everything. The only one I stood up and cheered after was Whiplash, so I watched it again the next night with my wife. That movie connects with me at a level that none of the other films in the running did, and I stand by it. That's the one that I feel changed by in some level. The others were fantastic, and I think, but Whiplash is the one is really going to stick with me. That's it. That's my whole thing.
I did see Whiplash, and I completely agree. I don't know if it's the one that's at the top of my list, but I think that it was still just an incredible, incredible film. Brilliant performances, and I was really impressed with it. I still need to see Selma and American Sniper. I'm hoping to get to those. American Sniper is still playing in the theater, so I can probably sneak out to that one. I think Selma is now going to have to wait for that one to be released on.
Right.
Disc.
Okay. Now, do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. Oh, you know what? I did see at the film festival. I saw the new Noah Baumbach movie, which is what was it called? While We're Young.
Yeah, didn't we trailer that one?
I can't remember if we talked about the trailer for that one.
I think we wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Man, okay. What'd you think?
I don't know. I don't think I fully click all the time with Noah Baumbach's films. I really liked The Squid and the Whale, and that may be it. I haven't seen. Granted, I've skipped a lot of his films because there's a level of indie that I just don't connect with in his films. Like Francis Ha, I hated that film.
Yeah, I know. You have a thing with Francis
I know a lot of people really love that film, but I just can't stand it. While We're Young has a lot of great stuff going for it, and I think it's a film that a lot of people might like. But there were elements to it that, especially as it built toward the climax, that just didn't work for me at all. I liked the characters in it. I liked the journey they took. It was really funny. We were all cracking up about it because it's about, a middle-aged documentary filmmaker who starts hanging out with this younger couple because they're, they have so much more life and everything. And it was just funny being over in Luxembourg. I was there with Randy and his wife, and we're all like documentary filmmakers. And it's just, and it's taking, Ben Stiller's character 10 years to make this film that he's working on. And it took 10 years to get the Joe Show made. And it just there was some funny similarities Made us all crack up quite a bit.
So funny. That's awesome. All right, so I should see it, is what you're saying.
It has a lot of good stuff going for it. I think by the time it got to the end, it fell apart a little bit, but I still think that it's worth seeing. Plus, Charles Grodin is back. I didn't know that he was. I thought he'd kind of retired, but there he was, and it excited me quite a bit to see him.
That's awesome. We missed him. All right, let's put it on the list. And immediately after we add it to our list of things that I need to see, then we're going to tell everybody where we're from, huh?
Yeah, where are we from?
Hey, everybody, this is The Next Reel. I'm Pete Wright, and that right over there is Andy Nelson.
Bonjour.
And we spoil movies. Tonight on the show, the final in our mystery series with Olivier Dahan's 2007 biopic, La Vie en Rose. This is the big night. Stay tuned to the very end of the show for instructions, because Andy's going to be very clear, because he's so well prepared, about just how you're going to enter to win a very big prize. If you can figure out what ties this mystery series together. The last 4 movies we've done, they all tie together somehow, and instructions are coming at the very end of this episode, so you can enter the prize and win. It's a very big prize. Very big. Extra large.
Extra large prize.
Could be.
It might be.
Okay, but before we get into that, you should learn more about us at thenextreel.com. You follow us on Twitter and Facebook at thenextreel. And if you want to throw down with the big brains, you head over to Instagram.com/thenextreel and play our hashtag pony prize, hashtag custom hashtags are for dummies, hashtag guess the movie challenge. Andy, what did we do against our fiends and foes this week?
It was I think it was a pretty good week. It was I think it took until image 5 this week for Glarsed to guess that. I'm just guessing that's how you say this user's name, but Glarsed did get from image 5 that it was indeed the fascinating revenge thriller Blue Ruin, which came out a few years ago. I love that movie, but even as much as I love it, I couldn't figure it out either until image 5. So those are some pretty strong images that good old Stephen Smart threw up there to get people guessing in all sorts of different directions. And now, Glarsed is entered to win the 2015 Pony Prize. Maybe Glarsed will be walking away with this little Eiffel Tower.
I'm going to start entering under a strange pseudonym because I want the Eiffel Tower so bad.
It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think if we're finished with old business, it's time. Let's do trailers. From the man who brought us Vanilla Sky and the hit film We Bought a Zoo comes the next great entry into the Crow Feel-Good Cinemanomicon. Aloha.
Well, you picked it up. Whatever you were missing on Instagram, you sure picked it up just now.
Andy, come on, man. It's got Bill Murray and Alec Baldwin in it, and then a whole bunch of other charming people who are backing them up. I hope that's the case. I find it tough to care a lot about all the feel-goodery spewing all over the screen because I find Bill Murray and Alec Baldwin so funny. Just to see them on screen, I do joke about We Bought a Zoo. I'm on the record as actually liking Jerry Maguire and Almost Famous quite a bit, and that's what gets me excited about Aloha from Cameron Crowe. It is full-on formula in all of its very glorious formularity, but Emma Stone, Bradley Cooper, Rachel McAdams, John Krasinski, Jay Baruchel, I like these people. I genuinely like these people, and so I'm hoping I'm hoping it comes together and does some more interesting things than are on display in the trailer, because the ingredients could make for an interesting film.
Well, I remember the good times.
There were no good times! You cost us our prime new partner, a new space command center, all gone because cool guy here, Mr. Sexy Pants, Brian Gilchrist, blew the mission. You were going to wear this like Flava Flav wears a clock.
It's due to hit May 29th, 2015. Are you in?
I'm in, as long as it's not Elizabethtown.
I forgot that should have been the one with the We Bought a Zoo, Elizabethtown.
It looks like it's got some great stuff going for it. It looks like he's kind of reaching back for some more Jerry Maguire, feel good type of storytelling. And, I have no problem with that. I love Jerry Maguire. And if he's going to do another film that's along that line, I'm all for it. I did find it odd that it actually says in the trailer from Academy Award nominated writer Cameron Crowe. And I believe that whoever actually made this movie should actually, instead of paying to have someone make these trailers, they should also pay them to do some research, because he did actually win an Academy Award for Almost Famous. So let's get it straight, people. I can't believe Cameron Crowe himself didn't say anything about that when he saw it.
Why would they have done that? Because for Almost Famous, did he win for Best Screenplay?
Yeah, and I actually had to go back and look on IMDb again, because I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he won. And it got me doubting myself, because I'm like, well, they made a trailer. They wouldn't get it wrong in the trailer. And I went and looked on IMDb, and yes, in fact, he did win for Almost Famous, and he was nominated for Jerry Maguire.
I did not catch that. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, way to go, Regency Films.
Dumb trailer people. Dumb dummies.
And Sony. You'd think that Sony would be able to figure this out.
Well, that explains it. If anybody's going to miss something like that, it was probably in some of the leaked email.
Yes, right.
What's your trailer?
My trailer is, I think we've talked about this before, but it's the new trailer for Tomorrowland, which looks pretty stunning, I've got to say. This is one of those trailers that really fleshes the story out a lot more than where it was before, and gives us a better sense of this world. We've got the young Britt Robertson who comes across this strange pin when she's released from prison, it looks like, and when she touches it, she's transported to Tomorrowland. It's like this future world that looks like, kind of like the Disneyland Tomorrowland section that has kind of this future look from what we thought the future would look like 100 years ago, sort of thing. She has to go find George Clooney, and there's all this like strange trying to figure out what's going on with all of this, and he's going to take her there. But then you've got like a flying bathtub that they escape in, and my favorite part is the trip in the Eiffel Tower rocket ship, which I missed that door when I was walking around in the Eiffel Tower, where it's a secret little panel, I guess, you go through, and sure enough, apparently when Eiffel built the tower back in 1889, actually built it to be a rocket ship to take people to Tomorrowland. Who knew?
With every second that ticks by, the future is running out.
It's not mine.
What's not yours?
The pen. I've never...
What if there was a place?
Dad, I just need you to look at this. Does it look weird?
A secret place where nothing was impossible.
You're not saying this!
Casey, stop it!
I love some of the visual concepts in this film, like when she holds the pin and she's in the car and the car disappears and suddenly she's in a car-shaped invisible thing, but floating along the field. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
But what really got me was rocket-powered bathtub evacuation system. Right. That was so fun. Around every corner is just something really fun in this trailer. So it definitely unleashed a lot of my inner child.
And this is one of those films that, Disney can be really good. I mean, they've got the deep pockets for it, but they can be really good at that whole world building thing that we talk about so much on the show. They've been doing some web kind of covert marketing for this, and it's interesting the way they're actually trying to develop this other world. Like you've got these beings, or this whole I don't know it's a faction, I guess you'd call them, that are out to stop these people that are the Tomorrowland people or whatever. And it's like this plus ultra, and so this whole website stopplusultra.com that is like this. It's this whole just thing about all these people who had these visions and don't let all this blind you and all this, and we gotta keep from getting recruited and stuff like that. It's fun that they're actually dropping a lot of these little things out there on the internet to kind of get people excited for it.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a fun little summer romp. When did you say when it hits?
It's just a week before yours. This is May 22nd.
Oh, excellent. Well, you always have to one up me.
I try.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Andy.
Yes.
You are my champion. I want you to be mine for life. Nothing existed before you. It's all gone.
Marchons, marchons, abreuve nos sillons.
Bravo.
She came from the streets of Paris.
Allez, venez, milord, vous asseoir à ma table.
De la rue aux Gernizes, voici la môme Piaf.
And survived using the only gift she had.
Je vais t'écouter tous les soirs chez Leplay, tu as beaucoup à apprendre.
Oh, t'es bien le premier qui me dit ça.
Picture House proudly presents
Hold me close and hold me fast.
a true story
The magic spell you cast.
of the voice of a nation
Vous m'avez fait pleurer. Votre voix est comme l'âme de Paris.
whose talent would captivate the world.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Il faut que tu sois courageuse, Edith.
Vous devriez annuler ce concert, Madame Piaf. Faut jouer avec votre vie.
Et alors? Il faut bien jouer avec quelque chose.
C'est payé, balayé, oublié.
Je veux que tu sois à moi pour la vie.
Avec toi.
Mesdames et messieurs, Edith Piaf!
La vie en rose.
Oui.
Andrew. Oui, oui. Olivier Dahan's biopic covering the life of Edith Piaf, the Little Sparrow. This is it's kind of crazy. This movie is kind of crazy. Structurally, it's really crazy. And it feels like you're going diving, kind of doing a little deep sea action, but you may not have the oxygen connected all the way, a little bit loopy watching this movie. But I had a good time watching it, mostly because of the incredible performance, the Oscar-winning performance by Marion Cotillard, who plays the role of Miss Piaf, and she is stunning, in a word. How did this film do for you?
It's I agree. This is a great example of a solid biopic that tells really kind of the full life story of somebody. This is not a biopic like Lincoln or Selma that tells a very select portion in time in somebody's life. This is really the beginning to end sort of life story of somebody. And I think they do a very good job with it. That being said, it's there's so much stuff going on in her life. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot about Edith Piaf, and I didn't know much about her or her life, and I hadn't listened to many of her songs, other than like the one that Inception made so popular and stuff like that. Although now because of this film, I've actually got an album and I've been listening to her like nonstop since. Yeah. But it's just, there's so much going on in her life, and it's a mess of a life, man. I mean, she's got just, I feel horrible. Like the stuff that she went through in her life and the stuff that she ended up having to deal with and that shaped her. Nature,
nurture. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is. It's horrible, and I just was really shocked. And I think it's just one of those stories, though, that shows you that somebody who has some skill, like she clearly does, she clearly has this beautiful voice that really transports people. it was enough to get her discovered, and so that she was able to actually, change direction in her life and actually step out of the gutters where she had been. I mean, working she never quite prostituted herself, but she was working for a pimp, and she would, instead of sleeping with people, sing on the street to make money, and then he got his cut from that. But still, she was pretty close to that world. And, drugs, and she was a mess.
One of the things I liked so much about this portrayal, and I thought was, and again, I'm with you. I mean, I know really as much as I learned in this film, I know now about Edith Piaf. Mm-hmm. Apart from, I sort of grew up listening to Edith Piaf. My folks were big Edith Piaf fans, weirdly enough, and so we always sort of had one or two of the kind of reprints of the albums, kind of in the rotation for family dinners or something like that. We would always have kind of Edith Piaf on, but I didn't know anything about her. And then, so I saw this movie, and what I find so fascinating about it is she's never really 100% likable, mm-hmm. And I thought that it felt like a very honest sort of portrayal. Like she's a horrible alcoholic, right? Drug user. She is not a healthy person. She's an incredible prima donna. Mm-hmm. And yet somehow I think because of Marion Cotillard's performance, I am just drawn into her. She's just captivating. And even as I don't like her all that much, as she builds toward a breakdown, which we need to talk about, just sort of how that works in terms of the structure of the film, I find myself incredibly emotional just watching her performance, and as she sort of unravels at the end, even though I don't really like her. I don't find her saying I would not hang out with her. She's not somebody that I would want to socialize with, this interpretation of Edith Piaf. She's incredibly codependent, and I think that's a really hard thing to play with nuance in film. But this person who's once she finds the man of her dreams, and it ends up being in an unfaithful relationship. She's having an affair on this, with a guy who is married with 3 kids. Like, she ends up developing a really sort of unhealthy kind of a love addictive relationship, which is interesting to capture on film. This is it's a psychological experience, that you're watching her. She has been so damaged emotionally by her mother and by these other women in her life who end up just going sort of bananas on her in her youth. And she just sort of can't get enough of this guy. Right. And in a not very healthy way. And I found myself really interested in that angle. And so I think her performance is why you see this film. For me, the film is just chaotic enough that it's if she wasn't in it and it was the same film, it'd have to be pretty compelling to see again.
I agree. I mean, her performance is the reason to watch this film. She is stunning in the film, whether she's a young, just past the street urchin stage is pretty much when she starts portraying her, all the way up through the little Edith Piaf when she's in her, I don't know how old did she live to be. I think she's in her 40s. She was only in her late 40s, but I mean, geez, she was so arthritic that she was basically like this little old lady, and Marion plays her just brilliantly from beginning to end, from the way that she portrayed her as the brazen street singer to the nervous singer on stage in front of a music hall for the first time, to the emotional issues that she goes through whether she's getting separated from friends or having stage fright or having this separation anxiety from this boxer that she falls in love with, to just to this little old lady kind of hobbling around. I mean, she just plays it so well that I completely forget that I'm even looking at an actress. It just feels so authentically real as Edith Piaf.
The physicality of this role is one that is the thing that really struck me. The fact that her body looks so authentically contorted.
Yeah.
Both in her younger days, right? She has a stance, like it's very much a just sort of sheepish, kind of shamed stance when she's nervous standing on stage in front of that giant microphone. Before she learns to sing with her hands,
right?
She has this stance, and I find that really, it's a kind of entrancing. Look, it makes you want to kind of, gosh, can I help her somehow? She needs kind of a cheerleader. But when she hits, old age, I mean, she ends up playing Edith Piaf at 47, looking like Edith Piaf at 70.
Yeah, or 80. Yeah, she's striking.
It is unreal watching the curve of her back and shoulders and the way her head kind of lilts from side to side. The way when she walks into this room with her agents and is at the bitter end of the film, she walks into this room to be introduced to a new song, and she says, give me a chair. That sequence of her watching her sit down is incredibly painful to watch. I mean, she's just so good. And appropriately, did win the Oscar for this. And I think, what was it? One of 5 times it's been given to somebody for playing a non-English speaking role.
And I think wasn't this the first time it was
in French?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think there is, yes, it's one of 6. So the Academy Award for a part mainly spoken in a foreign language went to Sophia Loren, Robert De Niro, Benicio del Toro, Robert Benigni, and Christoph Waltz, in addition to Marion Cotillard.
She certainly deserved the Oscar. This is one of those performances that you see somebody do that you just like, it's so stunning that, that she's really embodying this person. And this was the first time I had seen this. I missed this when it came out back in 2007. I remember it being kind of a big thing at the time because it was all non-Americans who won the acting Oscars that year. It was her. It was Tilda Swinton for what's it called? The Michael Clayton.
I think it's just Michael Clayton.
Not the Michael Clayton. Was it that one, or am I thinking of the wrong thing? Or Penelope Cruz? No, I can't remember. But
Vanilla Sky. No.
Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood. Javier Bardem for No Country for Old Men, and Tilda Swinton. Yeah. So it was it was a kind of I don't know, it was an odd thing, I guess. It was all non-Americans. I don't know. It's like they're all actors. I don't think that stood out to me that year. I just remember it being pointed out that, it was no American won for an acting Oscar that year. But it's like, you know what? They're all great actors. They all certainly deserve their performances. But she was up against Julie Christie from Away From Her, and that was, I believe, a performance where she was playing somebody with Alzheimer's. I didn't see that. Cate Blanchett in Elizabeth the Golden Age. Kate certainly should have won the Oscar for Elizabeth, the first one, but not for this, the second one. Ellen Page for Juno. That's kind of like, you did all right, kid. Here's a nomination. And Laura Linney in The Savages. And I think that Laura Linney was pretty spectacular in that film. But I would definitely give it to Marion Cotillard for this over all those others. She was just so good in this film.
She was fantastic. In terms of the those who supported her, anybody jump out at you as a stunning performance? I mean, the headliners that we would know, Gerard Depardieu is in it for a bit. And I nearly missed him. He doesn't look like Gerard.
Oh, I don't know.
He actually,
his nose is so unmistakable. It's like,
I don't know. I had a hard time picking him out. It took me a bit.
I think it's funny that he plays Cyrano de Bergerac because his nose, it's not long, but it certainly is one of the most bulbous noses that I've ever seen, and it's pretty unmistakable. So it's like his nose walked in the room. Oh, and there's Gerard behind it. I pretty much could always tell when he's walking in.
That's really funny.
So terrible of him to say.
I did not catch the nose. I must not be caught up on physical appearances. Was his performance particularly notable for you?
I don't think it was particularly notable. I thought he was fine in it. This was one of those films where it just the performances came and went awfully quickly, I think.
Yes,
because of the nature of the story being told. I think...
Well, and that's where I want to go from here too, because I think you that puts it just right. The performances come and go, and while you're focused on Marion's performance, everybody else is just sort of transient, and some of that suffers, I think, because of the way the story is told, the way the script is structured. It is so dramatically nonlinear that it's hard to get to know people as they change over time, and then you're sort of jumping forward and backward in time, and in some cases by decades. So that it's you don't ever really get a chance to get comfortable.
Well, no, and Emmanuelle Seigner is another actress who we've talked about. She was in Diving Bell and the Butterfly. She's in the early parts of this story, and she disappears so quickly. It's like, oh, I recognize her. Oh, and then she never comes back again.
And she's delightful. She's very charming and really struggling, and clearly struggling with both emotional issues and in her life. I was very interested in her character and her relationship with the grandmother. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Boy, you're right. They're just gone.
Yeah, they just once she's out of their circle, we don't go back to them. So, right. But I mean, looking at the other performances that were noted. Pascal Gregory was nominated. This received a number of the César Awards, the French equivalent of the Oscars. I believe it got. Let me see, how many did it get? 11 nominations. Is it 11? Pascal Gregory for Best Supporting Actor, Marion Cotillard for Best Actress, Sylvie Testude for Best Supporting Actress. She played her friend, Momon, I think. Best Cinematography, Tetsuo Nagata. Best Costume Design, Merritt Allen. Best Direction by Olivier Dahan. Best Picture, Olivier Dahan. Best Production Design, Olivier Rauch. Best Original Screenplay, Olivier Dahan. And Best Sound. And it got a lot of nominations. And Best Editing. And it won. It was actually up against The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, oddly enough. It won, I think, Best Sound, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Cinematography, and Best Actress. So it won 5 of its 11 nominations. I don't think, I'm surprised that Pascal Gregory and Sylvie Testude were nominated for supporting roles because they're so short. Like Momon, her friend, yes, she kind of is her friend for a good chunk of the film, but I don't know. I guess I'm just so blindsided by Marion's performance as Edith that I don't remember much of Momon's performance. Likewise with Pascal Gregory as Louis. I know he was there, but I guess I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And some of it is we've run into this challenge before in our, whenever we do a Western, right? The Ugly Man Western, they all just sort of blend together. And this is one of those things. There are a lot of men in this film that look very similar to me. Mm-hmm. Like they're striking men of a certain age, and they're all wearing very similar suits. And because of the way the film jumps around, I have a hard time really building any sort of relationship with them. I don't know what to focus on or who is really important. And that is definitely a shortcoming of mine, I think, and not the film's.
Well, I don't know.
So that's okay.
Let's talk about that, because I think the nature of biopics. This is what I was thinking about quite a bit after watching this. Is how does somebody decide to approach a biopic like this? This is so all over the place chronologically. We are jumping back and forth through her whole life. As I recall, it starts off with her perform
5 years old.
Doesn't it start with her performing and collapsing, and then it jumps back to 5 years?
Oh God, you're right. Yeah, no, she's like 47.
Right.
It's right before she dies, and then she collapses. That was the one where she falls and she's talking to Saint Teresa in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And then it's jumping back and forth, back to her present life, and as she's having more flashbacks, and then jumping back to her childhood, and then she's a teenager running through the streets. It was so all over the place that I had a hard time really grasping any sense of her timeline, and really I just felt like this is more just kind of, we're going to be experiencing her bio as kind of an emotional journey rather than an experience from beginning to end, from point A to point Z. It's I don't know. It's a structure that I think it worked for this film, but I do think it makes for a challenging biopic. And I don't know. I guess it made me think of other biopics that do that too, where they're jumping around back and forth through somebody's life, like Iron Lady, which really is only jumping from her career to just her late in life as she's suffering from, what was she suffering from? Alzheimer's? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But the nature of biopics, where you actually feel the need to be moving around quite a bit and jumping back and forth through somebody's life. I don't know. I mean, does that work for you in a biopic, or would you rather have something that's either more chronological or that is more focused on something particular?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I'm thinking about this film in the context of in comparison to the rumors we're hearing about Aaron Sorkin's Steve Jobs biopic. So, this one, as you say, it jumps all over the place. We don't really get a sense of linearity or of time, and yet you feel like there is some attempt to give us, important pieces of Edith Piaf's life. There are so many of them; it jumps around so much you don't really get a beat on what we're supposed to. What we're supposed to be looking at, and so I like the way you put it, and I think you don't really learn that until the very end. That what you just got as her life is sort of flashing before her eyes is the emotional whole of Edith Piaf as told through these isolated incidents, and I think that works. As chaotic as it feels, and as challenging as it must have been to write, it was. I think it's interesting. There are some really highlight scenes. But anyway, the comparison to the Steve Jobs pick is, I think really contrasts to this, where apparently it's a 2.5 hour, kind of targeting 2.5 hour film that focuses on the backstage experience and of 3 of his giant keynotes leading up to, I think, the iPhone. So not sort of anything in later life. And so talk about an incredibly isolated attempt to, isolated moments in time as an attempt to paint the portrait of who this person was. To just take 3 over the course of that period, as opposed to this, which gives us, a much broader perspective. I don't know which I like better. I find myself, when I see this film, I think, gosh, I would have much rather a more linear approach, or really a focus on 1 or 2 seminal events. And then I think about the Steve Jobs thing. I'm like, screw that. I'm not really interested in that either.
Yeah.
What is the best biopic that you can think of? Let's give us something to compare it to.
Well, it depends on what we're going to focus on as a biopic. I mean, Apollo 13 is a biopic. I love that film. I think that's a solid true story of somebody's life. But are you calling that a biopic because it is so focused?
I don't think I would call it a biopic, just because it's like a historical drama, right? I mean, it's really not just about him, right? The intention of Apollo 13 is to tell the story of the Apollo 13 disaster, right?
Sure.
The intention of something like The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, for example, is to tell the story of his experience. And I think that's how we would characterize a true biopic, don't you think?
Yes, but again, it's like a biopic, I don't know, is the nature of a biopic to give us just something like The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, give us that sense of that portion of his life? Or should we be getting a sense of the person's full life from a biopic?
Well, that's the question. I mean, I definitely get it.
Lincoln is the same thing as Apollo 13 is. It's not necessarily focused on Lincoln so much as it is, are they going to, pass this Emancipation Proclamation and make a change for the better for our country? But it was pretty much marketed as a biopic of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, it was definitely marketed that way, but I see what you're talking about. Then how do you characterize something like The Social Network? Is that could that technically be characterized as Mark Zuckerberg's biopic?
I don't know. I'm struggling with the idea of it. Maybe not.
How would you compare something like one of my very favorite, quote, biopics, American Splendor of Harvey Pekar? I love that film.
Mm-hmm. That one seems a little more like a biopic because that's a much wider swath of his life.
Okay, I got one for you. The Aviator.
That's definitely a biopic.
Okay, good. I think we're getting somewhere.
Hotel Rwanda, I don't think I'd call a biopic.
I would not call that a biopic.
Schindler's
Although
List?
I can see how some people would. No, I wouldn't call Schindler's List a biopic either.
It's and so I guess the nature of a biopic is it's going to focus more specifically on the person and their life rather than. But see, Selma, I mean, people are saying, well, I guess people aren't really saying it's a biopic of Martin Luther King.
I don't think they are. I think Selma is in title even is the story of the event and some the event and that time in history, that moment in history.
Yeah. So,
okay. So on that, so I think we're coming down to it, right? Where we're really focusing on, a biopic that delivers the focus on the person, not the event, right?
Right. Walk the Line, Ali, Iron Lady.
What's your favorite?
I don't know. I mean,
number one favorite, and you can never take it back. No takesies backsies.
Man, you are tough.
If you can answer in 3 seconds, I'll give you $5 million. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry.
That was in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I really did enjoy Walk the Line. I haven't seen it in quite a while, but I do remember liking that one quite a bit.
Walk the Line, I did. I like that one too. I don't know. I actually liked Capote.
I liked Capote too, but again, I don't think that's a biopic.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It's called Capote, but it's not
Capote,
about Capote. Yeah. It's about his struggle writing that book.
Wow.
They're very deceptive when they name a movie the name of the person, but it's not really about the person.
Okay, what about Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull?
That's a great biopic.
I think that may be at the very top of the list. Gandhi?
I haven't seen Gandhi in a long time, but I do remember liking it quite a bit. But that would be a biopic.
Yeah, I think that's a biopic. I think that's characterized as a biopic.
Amadeus is a fantastic biopic.
Well, let's just say this. They certainly don't really make biopics like they used to. Amadeus and Gandhi, those were incredible.
Lawrence of Arabia?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There's some good biopics out there.
All right. Well, at least I feel like I know better where to class this film. It's no Schindler's List. It's no Apollo 13. It's definitely Gandhi, Amadeus. I get that. And under that, it doesn't hold up for me as well. This film, La Vie en Rose, it hangs on the performance of its titular character. It is her film, and that's why you see this film. She is transcendent in it. She is worth it. If she wasn't there, it would not hold up as a film for me. There were a couple of scenes I want to talk to you about. The scenes that particularly struck me as scenes that made me think, my goodness, I wish more of the film was like this. She is asleep. The night before, she had been on the phone with her amour. Mm-hmm. And she had been begging him, please get on a plane. Come to me. I can't be without you anymore. Please, I don't care what you have to do. You've got to come see me. So she's in bed. She wakes up. He is in bed with her. He's just come in and he's taken a knee and he's laid down next to her. He's given her a morning kiss and she says, oh, I'm gonna feed you. She gets out of bed. She walks down the hall into a really long haul, if I must say. The haul's too long. The house is too big. She should not have a house that big. Nobody needs a house like that. But it's a one long shot. The camera is following her. She goes in, she gets the toast. We see people like gargoyles who are one sitting at the table, one standing in a corner. They aren't speaking. They're incredibly stoic and sad. And she walks back in and she sets the toast on the bed. She's talking to her lover. And then she decides she wants to give him a present that she's bought him. So she goes out, starts looking for the present. She gets very, very intense. She says, "Where's the present? Why isn't anybody talking?" She's screaming, "What is going wrong with you people? Where is the present? Where is the present?" And her manager, I guess he's the manager, comes to her, holds her shoulders and says, "You have to be brave. The plane crashed." Yeah. And then she loses it. She goes into the bedroom. She sees he's not really there, that it was all in her head. And she breaks down in just a volcanic fashion, and it is wonderful. It's just wonderful. The length of that scene and the way it unfolds for us it's just like a beautiful bow. I love it so much, and I think the way the camera moves through the scene, it floats. We are just sort of the omniscient cameraman. It's like we can see everything, and it's just gorgeous. I wanted more of that kind of artistry in the rest of the film, and I feel like those kind of events were few and far between.
Well, but that moment, I think, speaks to the nature of the film being the wacky anti-chronological structure of it being much more of an emotional journey rather than just a chronological journey of her life. I think that fits in very nicely with that. And I think that's one of the things that makes that such an incredibly strong scene, because you're at this point in her life where she desperately needs that love, and here it is taken away from her. And it truly is just an incredibly powerful scene. I mean, everything you said about it is spot on, perfect. I think more scenes like that would be fine. But again, it's the nature of a biopic. It's like, that's a magical moment. Period. The fact that they were able to put that into the story, I think, was just a storytelling. A gift that it was given to them. It's an awful way to put it, but something that happened in Edith's life that they were able to incorporate into the story. It's not necessarily going to happen like that all the way through. But you said there were some other ones though, right?
Well, I want to go back to this because I'm not sure I made my point clearly enough. I think that it's not that I want more scenes like that with that level sort of emotional intensity, but at that level of just sort of filmmaking artistry. And I want to compare it. I'm going to compare it to Whiplash, which I thought had one of the most adventurous cameras of any of the films. And I'm even comparing that to Birdman, because Birdman, it has this incredible kind of polish and flash, because it's all sort of this faked one long take, which is really great the first time you see it. And, then it just sort of wears off. And I just sort of lost the luster of that. And yet I go back and watch Whiplash again, and the way they move that camera to capture otherwise banal experience of the tiny movements of the horns, or the moving back and forth between cymbals, the way they capture the sweat and the blood on the drum. I mean, that was an adventurous camera. That was an incredibly sort of extreme cinematography for me.
Agreed.
That I thought was really wonderful. And this is the same sense that I get from this sequence in La Vie en Rose, that it was taking an artistic approach to tell a story, using the movement of the camera to assist in unraveling and unveiling this story for us. And I think that's something that was a really powerful, you use the word gift, I'll use it too. It's a gift to this film that they took that level of sort of risk with the camera, I think, and doing something different. And I wanted more of that.
Well, I do think that the camera, I found it to be an incredibly beautifully shot film. I really loved the look of it the whole way through. I felt it was very dreamy a lot of times. It had a almost a hallucinatory feel sometimes. I loved it when she was on stage, and like there's that one performance, I can't remember which one of the performances it was, but it might be like the first time that she performed at the music hall. But you've got her with that big microphone in front of her, and she just looks overwhelmed, and then she starts, and then it comes in behind her, and you just get like a close shot of her hand as it's just moving. The silhouette of it is moving through the light, and then you've got her from just this close up of just over her shoulder, and you've got just little detail shots that I appreciated so much, because it really yes, you've got the big moment of this is what's happening, but it's made up of those details that are the things that a person remembers. Like those are the things that are those triggers in their head. And I feel like between Olivier and his DP, was it Tetsuo? I think that they really found just a magical way to kind of capture a lot of that. So I agree with you, but at the same time, I agree with you about that particular scene, but I feel like they actually did shoot it in a way that I really found quite lovely.
2 points. First of all, okay. Second, I'm really glad that you brought up the point about her first big performance with the giant microphone, because I thought that was a wonderful experience. So much so that I used 2 images from the film for our Facebook.
I noticed that.
one from the front and one from the back, the same scene. I think they're maybe 50 frames apart. It was so. Anyhow, I found that really moving, and I think her eyes are just captivating in that particular sequence. Now, to the other segment, or the other sequence that I found really powerful, was dealing with her blindness as a child.
That's the other one I was going to bring up. Yeah, it's funny. We had all the same scene.
I know. Dang it! Maybe this should be your turn, because I labored on about that one.
I think that I don't know. I don't want to keep laboring on about each of these scenes, but I did find it to be an incredibly touching moment. She goes through this. I can't remember what it is, keratitis or something that she gets that causes temporary blindness in her as a child when she's living at the brothel where her grandmother manages.
Temporary, and we should add, really gross.
Yeah, her eyes are just, it's really, I'm glad that they put the blindfold on her, because it looked horrible. Yeah. But it was shot in just just kind of a beautiful way, particularly when she's coming out of it, and you've kind of got that, the focusing, working on kind of focusing and finding things again, and it was just a very touching bit. I really liked the way that they dealt with that, and I liked the way they dealt with a lot of visuals that people connect with. Like there's a shot toward the end where it's just a shot of a frog like sitting on a leaf, by the, I don't know, it was by the lake where she was when she was an old lady, old at the age of 47. Just a still of that, or a still of her, or a shot of her as the young child, or a shot of her child that she lost, or all these different shots that kind of come in as these flash images that I just found so haunting. And I think that was the experience I had of the period when she was blind. It was like beautiful imagery, but it was also very haunting imagery.
I really agree. I mean, that's just what I was going to reflect on. I think it was. I thought that was really beautifully done. There's one other bit that just for some reason latched onto my brain. Her roast beef sandwich. Was that not the most obscene roast beef sandwich you've ever seen?
I'm trying to remember it now. It's like the roast beef sandwich.
When she first meets the boxer guy, and she's sitting at the thing, and he brings the roast beef sandwich. She doesn't know what it is. Just, what is this?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's roast beef, and it's like 8.5 inches of just sliced meat and a couple of pieces of white bread. It's just awful. Anyway, yeah, they really did a good job with that roast beef sandwich.
Yes, they did. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other elements you want to pull out of this film as we move toward the end?
as somebody who hadn't listened to a lot of Edith Piaf music, I found that a couple things about the music that I wanted to say. First, I definitely appreciated the way they balanced the use of the score and the songs. The score by Christopher Gunning, I thought that they didn't feel that they had to overwhelmingly use elements from the songs in the score. I mean, the title of the film for the American audience is La Vie en Rose. There's only, I think, just a couple scenes where they actually have a hint of La Vie en Rose in part of the score. And I was very appreciative that they didn't feel like they needed to overwhelm us with that as part of the theme.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, I also felt like, they didn't feel like, hey, this is a movie about Edith Piaf. We have to overwhelm the audience with song after song after song of hers. Yes, you get a good sense of her songs, but I didn't feel like they were hitting me over the head with every possible Edith Piaf song that she performed because she's just so great.
Right.
In fact, that whole performance, I can't remember now if it's the first performance at the music hall where you don't even hear her singing at all. It just you get all the moments of her performing, you get her hand gestures and all that, but it's just score. As it's just these shots of her and the audience and everybody enjoying it and her kind of coming out of her shell as she starts singing. And I was like, that is the most clever way to portray this, where it's not necessarily about the songs. It's just about kind of this birth of the performer and the experience that she's having and the experience that the audience is having.
Yeah, it was even a relief. I love that you pulled out that sequence. I found myself really thinking, gosh, this is great that we can actually experience her emotionally again without getting lost in a 2 hour and 20-minute kind of Glee episode. I mean, it really, these musical biopics can go down that track pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And yet I found myself, I don't know, a little bit teased with some of the more iconic songs. I wanted to hear all of Milord. I wanted to, I love that song. And that's like the iconic Edith Piaf song for me. And so I was surprised they cut that one off right at the middle. I could have used a little bit more of that.
Was that one of the ones that she collapsed in the middle of?
No. That was in the very beginning where she was just saying, I have to go sing this jerk song or something. She goes into the studio, right. So it was her older. So
gotcha.
We had at that point no context. I just thought it was funny that they made some of those choices because some of the big songs we don't get much play with, even though clearly they had the rights to the songs. It's not like one of those. What was the recent biopic where they didn't have the rights of any of the songs that we talked about? It was. Oh goodness!
Gosh, I can't remember.
They didn't have the rights to use this. It was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, right. So they had to do his story before he became the singer that he is.
Yeah. See, they clearly didn't have that trouble with these songs. We had all the songs, so.
But they're very
tough
cute
balance.
songs. They're cute songs. I think a number
cabaret, it's cabaret songs. Easy.
And so it's because of that. It's not songs that tie into the emotional core of the story, and so I think that's maybe why they chose to not necessarily play so much of the songs all the time.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. Fair point. How did it do? You ready to talk about how it did? Do you know?
This film actually, the numbers for this one were actually fairly easy to find, which was a relief. I wasn't sure if it would all be in euros or not, but I actually found it all in dollars. It came out in June 2007. It cost $25 million to make. The prints and advertising, I think that this is only the U.S. prints and advertising, $5 million. So, $30 million to kind of get it out into the U.S. And domestically, it ended up making about $10.3 million. Internationally, it did obviously a lot better, $76 million internationally. So all told, when you balance it all out and you look at adjusted profit per finished minute, it ended up making about $465,000 per finished minute. So it did pretty good for itself.
Did I catch that right? This is a $100 million film?
No. It cost
70. It made 76. And what was the U.S.? Only 12.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. was like 10.
10.
So, yeah,
all right.
it wasn't quite there. It was at 86.3, yeah.
Wow.
Adjusted, it's close to 100, but yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Well, it rightfully so. I mean, this is, again, I talk about these little character moments when Marlene Dietrich comes over to her to introduce herself and tells her that she's, she has the voice of the soul of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Watching her like nearly knock the table over as she's watching Marlene Dietrich, it is just adorable.
Yeah.
It's absolute magnetism.
Oh,
she's so great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Olivier Dahan really figured out the right way to tell this story. I mean, it's not a story I feel like I need to return to over and over again, if ever again. But I learned a lot about the life of Edith Piaf. I'm grateful that I got to have that experience and really get a sense of who this performer is, and was more introduced to her music because I really wasn't. So thank you, Olivier, for that. And Olivier's he's gone on to. He directed that Grace of Monaco film that came out last year with Nicole Kidman playing Grace Kelly. I missed that one, but it didn't get quite as big a push as I thought it would. But yeah, we'll see if he's able to kind of keep getting stuff out there. But this is definitely the film that got Marion Cotillard on the map for the United States for us. I mean, she's been all over the place, it seems, since this movie came out. And she was just nominated for Best Actress this year.
Right.
For 2 Days, 1 Night.
For 2 Days, 1 Night, right. She's amazing. She's coming up. We're going to see her in The Little Prince. She's the voice of the Rose. A Rigged World, Macbeth. She's in the Assassin's Creed video game film.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, we saw her in Inception and Big Fish.
She was in Big Fish?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was. I know those things. All right, Andy, I say we need to rank it.
All right, let's do it.
Head over to flickchart.com/thenextreel and rank your favorite films, and then look at our favorite films, and let's see if they line up. And you know what's funny? I say that every week. You know how I say that every week?
I do know how you say that every week.
Every week I say that same thing. And today I went to coffee with a dear friend of mine, JJ. Mm-hmm. And he's telling me he started listening to the show and then realized that he needed to start from the beginning. So he went to the beginning. I didn't know that he did this. This is one of those bits of context shock, when you know somebody and they tell you, "Hey, I've been listening to you
right
talk in my head for this," and I start telling stories like, "Oh, that one time, Andy and I were doing this thing." He says, "Yeah, I know, I heard it." And I said, "Oh, and there's this. We do this Instagram pony prize thing, and it's there's this wonderful guy in England he's Stephen Smart. Yeah, you know about that too." I'm not used to that. I'm doing this a long time. I'm still not used to that. Anyhow, I say that every week. Go to Flickchart, rank your rank. And so you know what? He did. And he has been. And he compares our rankings with his ranking. And he pulls up the computer as we're sitting there at Starbucks. We were talking about some other things. He opens the computer. He says, "Go look at my Flickchart." And it turns out there he is. He has ranked all the movies that he's seen and that we've seen. And he compares them. Just funny. Like we ask.
Excellent.
That's a thing.
I love it.
So other people should do that because it's fun.
Absolutely is.
And then tell us how we did compared to yours. We'd like to hear.
Absolutely.
Right. That's a long way for me to say. He also said we should tighten it up in some areas. All right, let's rank it. Go for it.
All right, La Vie en Rose or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh Brother.
I will say Oh Brother. I mean, yeah, like we said, La Vie en Rose is an incredible experience to learn about her life, and it's all about Marion Cotillard, but I just don't think I'll return to it very often.
Yeah.
Whereas Oh Brother, I definitely will.
Had you seen it?
No, this was my first experience with it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
La Vie en Rose or The Sandlot? I really enjoy The Sandlot, but I'm going to give it to La Vie en Rose just for her performance.
Yeah, me too.
La Vie en Rose or The Lady Killers?
I might have to do the same.
Yeah, and Le'Veon Rose. Le'Veon Rose or When Harry Met Sally? I would do When Harry Met Sally. It's just imminently watchable.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Rose or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I got to go with Indiana Jones. Le'Veon Rose or 500 Days of Summer?
500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, exactly.
You were saying?
Le'Veon Rose or Syriana? I would do Syriana.
Really?
I would. Remember, I loved that movie.
Yeah, I know. I didn't love it as much. I'll give it to you, though.
Right.
I'll probably watch it before I would watch this one again.
Le'Veon Rose or Field of Dreams?
Le'Veon Rose.
Absolutely Field of Dreams.
I knew it. All right.
10.
Rack them up. You're at 10?
No, 10 if I have to do your crazy numbering scheme. So that makes you a 0? Are you? Or where
would make me. No, it would not make me a 0. I would be probably about a 3. So go ahead. You can have it. You can have it.
All right. Oh, there you go. 110 out of 175. That still, I think, is pretty good.
I agree. I agree with you. Right? It's almost practically in the middle.
Close.
All right. So this wrapped up our mystery series. Can you just refresh people what we were doing here?
Yeah, this was this crazy idea we had of creating a series of 4 films that are connected somehow. We found a connection between these 4 films, which are Syriana, $1 Million Baby, LA Confidential, Le'Veon Rose. So there is a connection between those, or I don't know if I'd say a connection, but there is a theme that we found that all of those films fit into. And because of that connection, we've created this series here. And now what you need to do is, if you can figure out what this connection is and you want to be the one who wins the prize, which is, Pete?
A T-shirt.
It is the next...
No, wait, I can build this up a little bit better.
You can.
It is the fantastic, we still have some around, the fantastic 2014 end-of-year commemorative Next Reel T-shirt, hand illustrated by friend of the show, Joel Micah Harris, who is very kindly donated his talents to that shirt. And so you get this shirt. You can't buy them anymore. We're just going to send you one because you will have proven your awesomeness if you get it right and you're first.
That's right.
It's a race.
So what you need to do, if you can figure it out, is you need to go to Twitter and you need to tweet us with hashtag TNR Guess the Series and your answer. And the first person who sends that to us, TNR, hashtag TNR Guess the Series, with the correct answer, the first person is going to win the prize.
I haven't typed this up. Can you get it in 140 characters minus hashtag Guess the Series at the next reel?
Yes.
Can you can type it up in that few characters. So you should be able to do this in a single tweet. That's what we're saying.
Yes, I'm going to test it.
Don't press send.
No, I won't.
Okay, so that's what you got to do. You'll do that, then we'll reach out to you. We will get your address and send you the big prize.
You absolutely can fit it all in a tweet.
Awesome.
Just test it.
Good. All right. Well, if that's the case, so now we can go back to telling people where we go from here.
We can. How exciting is that?
That's really exciting. I hate keeping things from people.
Well, and the whole reason we did this is because we pushed off our Seven Samurai family series, which we were going to be doing in this window, but then we realized that there is this remake of The Magnificent Seven that's actually going to be coming out sometime in the future, and we want to include that in the Seven Samurai family. So now we've got to push that series off until that happens. So we needed to fill this in, and you came up with this great idea of doing the mystery series, which I think was quite fun, actually.
I really like the way this played out.
Yeah.
Even if nobody ever gets it.
That's right.
We're just I get another shirt.
We're going to dangle this out there until someone finally guesses it.
That's right. So then where do we go from here?
So now we're going to jump into a film noir series, which is going to be a lot of fun. I know we've talked about a few noirs in the past, but we're going to start with Double Indemnity next week, which I just love. And then we're going to hit Detour, Scarlet Street, Out of the Past, Ace in the Hole, and end on Touch of Evil.
Oh, what a great collection.
Yeah, this
the
is
last time I saw Double Indemnity, we almost talked about it, right? Because it was part of the Chautauqua Classic Film Series. So the last time I saw this was in the perfect classic, like unremodeled era, tiny theater, in the balcony with popcorn. I mean, it was just the perfect experience to see this film. I can't wait to talk about it.
No, absolutely. It's such a brilliant movie.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, do you have any other news?
No, I think that's it, man.
Man, I gotta go to bed.
All right. I gotta go run through the streets of Montmartre and sing songs on street corners all night long.
You want to start high or low?
Let's start low and end on a high.
Okay.
So this is Amazon Kenneth Ryan, 1 star, a true disappointment. This is a beautifully filmed story of one of the most exciting performers of her time that is very badly edited and leaves out a very important segment of her career, the tap dance she did with the Nazi occupation of France. Edith Piaf was a true neurotic survivor of dark periods in European history, the First and Second World Wars. I rented this movie expecting a balanced review of her life, but all it is a discussion of her difficulties growing up and her love life. Passing mention is given to her successes. Plus, the lead actress slips in and out of character throughout the film. Edith Piaf was sickly, less than good-looking, and hunched over all her life, yet she had a stage presence and voice that mesmerized audiences. The performances were from original records that were poorly remastered and lip-synced by a healthy, lively actress who was bent over and sickly whenever she walked somewhere. Buy some CDs if you want to hear the real Edith Piaf. Rent this DVD, but do not buy it. It is almost a disservice to Edith Piaf's memory. Man.
So everything we just said is so wrong.
Poo on us, apparently.
Poo on us. Well, mine is from L. Giles, who loves this performance to the tune of 4 stars. Mm. And yet I give it to you because L. Giles also agrees with us.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Of course, says L. Giles, this is the film for which Marion Cotillard received the Oscar and shot to superstardom. I don't know about that. She did an incredible job. The movie itself wasn't as good as the actress. However, it's definitely worth seeing, especially if you're an Edith Piaf fan, even if you're not. The story is somewhat bumpy, but the lead performance is stunning. Yep, pretty true.
There you go.
I wouldn't call her a superstar.
No, I wouldn't, although she certainly has made it bigger on the scene than somebody like Audrey Tautou has on the global scene.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which
that's true.
Saddens me a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Andy, it is hard to believe that we have been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
You are telling me. Producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Just visit thenextreel.com/originals. Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
I love The Next Reel Season 4. Do you know why?
I don't. Why?
Because we got to talk about my favorite movie, Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
That's not even an adaptation.
No, but it was such a great part of our great Terry Gilliam series, and a few others in that series were adaptations, like The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, adapted from Raspi's stories, and La Jetée, which inspired 12 Monkeys.
Oh, right. And for our Man with No Name trilogy, we saw how Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars was basically stolen from Kurosawa's Yojimbo.
We added Labor Day to our Jason Reitman series, adapted from Joyce Maynard's novel.
Oof, there's one we'll always regret.
Our big Stephen King series covered adaptations like The Shining, Cujo, Christine, and Stand By Me, great horror and coming-of-age tales.
Another Coen Brothers adaptation, too. We got to talk about how they turned Homer's The Odyssey into Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
For our holiday series, we did The Bishop's Wife and The Poseidon Adventure.
And who could forget seeing Alec Guinness in the adaptation of Kind Hearts and Coronets during our series dedicated to him.
We really need to do more of his films.
Truly.
We had our first film noir series with classics like Double Indemnity, Detour, and Out of the Past.
And our black and white cinematography of James Wong Howe's series with The Thin Man, Sweet Smell of Success, Seconds, and King's Row. So many adaptations.
Oh, you're not kidding. Dive deeper into these originals and more at thenextreel.com/originals. Every book you buy helps support our show.
Get the full list at thenextreel.com/originals and start reading today.